everything is on the table. And of course that makes the heads to Russia. Well, how actually in the interest of Europe, but most importantly, peace is in the interest of the American people, and he's going to fight. Before it breaks out, he's a very good. A lot of these issues are tough. It's going to take a smart statesman to figure this stuff out, but we've got that in the White House, and I really believe that we're in the cusp of peace in Europe for the first time in 3 years because we have leadership.
As well, who still they're
He was asking me. He was like, well, I don't know. We're not focused on that crap right now. What the president did is he empowered, in particular, because this was before we were inaugurated. This is before we had our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, or any of the great people around us. The president sent his dear friend, and he's become my dear friend, Steve Witkoff, as an emissary of the President of the United States, and he said, Steve, you speak for me, get it done, and if there are problems, pick up the phone and call me. Steve Witkoff, with the president's leadership, got it done, and it's amazing. And of course, we still got work to do. The president is as committed to this as any American leader in my lifetime. We're going to keep on fighting for it.
One of the issues that's central to the Cpac community is the issue of pro-life.
Of course.
And what is the administration going to do to defend the unborn, to provide support for those mothers, those fathers that choose life?
Sure. Well, you know, one of the it took it out of the hands of unelected bureaucrats and unelected judges and gave it to a devout Christian, is that we have got to persuade our fellow Americans, because now we've got the power. We've got the power of persuasion. We've got to persuade our fellow citizens that unborn life in the eyes of God, and it should be sacred in the eyes of man. And I think on the administration side, what the president has said, and it's been consistent, these are good, that families are good, and we want to make it easier for young moms and young dads to choose life, to start families, and to bring new life into the world. That's the whole point of our policy. Now, some of that, of course, is supporting our great crisis pregnancy centers at the moment of these important healthcare decisions, encouraging young women to choose life at that important moment of choice. How can I afford this? And if they're able to actually afford to raise a family, maybe they'll start thinking. I think fundamentally this is going to take a lot of leadership from the president on down, but from every single person in this room. We've got to persuade our fellow citizens to stop thinking about babies as inconveniences to be discarded. We've got to start thinking them as blessings to cherish. And that's exactly what I promise.
Now we're going to get personal. This
Okay,
is so
all right.
fun. Your faith.
Yeah.
Why is it so important to you? What does it mean to you? Tell us why, when you go every single day to work, how faith is a part of who you are.
Well, I mean, first is, I believe, like, the fundamental tenet of the Christian faith. It's not just a set of good moral principles, though it is that. I think the fundamental tenet of our faith is that the Son of God became man. He died, and he raised himself from the dead. That is the fundamental tenet of the Christian faith, and I think one lesson that flows from that is that we shouldn't fear death. Of course, death is dads can raise their children in their faith to become good young people who believe the things that I do. That is what I'm trying to create, is the space for you, of course, to raise your children as you see fit, but the space for people that I think they ought to be. And the other thing that I take from it, Mercedes, is if you look at the long history to do His will, and we don't worry so much about whether we're going to have earthly rewards, we worry about whether we're doing right. That's how I run my life.
Society and to the world. We have so many young people.
See, is we want you to be able to buy a home. We want you to be able to work a good job. We want you to be able to raise your kids, like I said, according to the values that you believe in. And we want you to be able to build a nice life in this country or else. We're fighting for you every single